Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about something we all deal with every single day, communication, and more specifically, why it sometimes goes so wrong. We're diving into the invisible force that can make or break any conversation.
I mean, you know the feeling, right? We've all been there. You say or text something that you think is completely obvious, but the other person takes it in a totally different direction. It's frustrating, it's confusing, and honestly, it happens all the time. Let's look at a perfect example.
Okay, so picture this. You've had a little disagreement with someone, and you're trying to clear the air over text. You ask if they're okay, and a few moments later, you get this back. One word. Fine.
So your brain just takes it at face value. Fine means, well, fine. It means okay, acceptable, we're good. You breathe a little sigh of relief, thinking, phew, crisis averted, and you go on with your day.
Yeah, but on their end, it's a completely different story. They are not okay. For them, that word fine was packed with all sorts of hidden meaning. It was their way of saying, no, I'm actually the opposite of fine, and you should know that.
And that right there is the big question, isn't it? How does a word we all agree on the definition of create two totally separate realities? What is the missing piece of the puzzle here?
Well, the answer, the secret ingredient that gives our words their real meaning, is context. It's everything. And it's the key to understanding what people are really trying to tell you.
Think of it like this. Context is the invisible atmosphere that every conversation breathes in. It's all the stuff that isn't said out loud, but is still a huge part of the message.
So, what is context, really? It's the whole situation. It's the where, the when, the who, and the why. It's the environment, your relationship, your shared history. All these things come together to give words their actual power. Without context, we're just reading a dictionary, and we already know that doesn't work.
To really get a handle on this, let's break it down. I want you to think of context as 4 different lenses you can look through. Each one shows you a different layer of meaning, and you kind of need all 4 to see the full picture.
First up, we have the physical lens. This one's pretty straightforward. It's literally about the physical place where the conversation is happening.
I mean, think about it. The same exact words can mean totally different things. If you yell, "I can't hear you" at a loud concert, that's just a fact, right? But whisper that same phrase in a dead silent library? Whoa, now you're complaining. The location completely changes the message. So for our fine text, where was it sent from? A busy office? A quiet bedroom? It matters.
All right, next, we're looking through the temporal lens. This one is all about time, the timing of the message, and the history you have with the person. This is all about patterns and expectations. Let's say you have a friend who normally texts you novels full of emojis and exclamation points. And then one day, after a disagreement, all you get is that period at the end of fine. That break in their usual pattern is the real message. The temporal context, what's normal for them, tells you that this fine is anything but.
Our third lens is the social psychological one. This one's a biggie. It's all about your relationship with the other person and the emotional vibe of the conversation.
Seriously, who you're talking to changes everything. If your boss asks how a project's going and you say, "It's fine," that's probably just a professional update. But if your best friend who knows you've been stressed asks if you're okay and you say, "I'm fine," that's practically a code word for "I'm not fine, but I don't want to talk about it." The relationship completely redefines the meaning.
And that brings us to our fourth and final lens, the cultural lens. This is all about the unwritten rules and norms of the culture or group you're a part of.
Yeah, where you come from in the world really changes the rules of the game. In some cultures, which we call low context, people tend to be very direct. Fine means fine, end of story. But in other high context cultures, people are much more indirect to keep things harmonious. In that situation, saying fine could actually be a very polite way of saying this is a complete disaster.
Okay, so we've got our 4 lenses: physical, temporal, social, and cultural. But this isn't just theory, right? Understanding context is a practical skill. It's something you can work on to become a much better communicator. And you know what? There's actually a cool name for this skill in the world of linguistics. It's called pragmatic competence. And all it really means is having the ability to read between the lines, to use all those contextual clues to understand what someone really intends to say. It's about hearing the person, not just the words. So, how do we get better at this? Well, it all comes down to consciously using those 4 lenses we just talked about. Before you jump to a conclusion, just take a breath. Ask yourself, where are we? What's our history here? What's our relationship? Could there be a cultural difference at play? It's about shifting from just hearing to actively listening. Ultimately,
Every conversation is layered. The real magic of communication isn't just about picking the right words to say, it's about learning to hear all the silent things that are being said along with them.
So I'll leave you with this. The next time you get a simple message like fine or okay, what's the unspoken message you're going to listen for? Because the context holds the answer. You just have to know how to look for it. Thanks for tuning in.